Welcome to the girls. We're in a very happy place today. If you're in a bad mood or you just feel kind of sad, come to Smith Floral and Gifts. We're in West Hazleton. They are celebrating 125 years in business, Jenny.
Yes, they are. And since we're in person, I can say, it's our 10th anniversary, because we're usually on Zoom.
And you like the flowers I gave you?
And I picked these flowers because I won't kill them. So today we're going to learn how to keep our flowers alive, the difference between annuals and perennials, why it's important to shroom or prune, right?
Prune.
Prune our flowers. What else?
Yes. They have beautiful flowers for like all kinds of things. So if you have a sunny spot in your house, what kind of flowers to get for each spot in your house, how not to overwater, like you said, and when to water, and just everything about keeping your flowers healthy because they are living.
Yeah,
living things.
And we don't get a lot of time with our flowers outside, so we enjoy them when we can to see all the different colors and all the different blooms that come from spring to summer. So if you're looking for something that is going to bloom all year round, that's going to be inside, they have that. They also have for special occasions if you want to get like a bouquet of flowers.
Oh, yes.
They can make those for weddings and for special occasions too. They also have like really cute gift ideas in here too. If you walk around, it's a very happy place like Mom said. And when you meet the owner, you're going to see that she's a reflection of what this store is all about.
Oh yeah, she's always in bloom. Jen is a doll. If you don't know what to send, what to do, she'll create things for you. Everybody who works here is really crafty and very creative because I know sometimes I want to order special flowers like for a guy. So what kind of flowers do you send a guy? So they'll recommend those and different tropicals, they special order things in. Oh, and hey Janine, did you ever try growing the vegetable plants?
Oh, that's right, they do the vegetables too. So if you're new to planting or to gardening, this show will be for you. And if you're into gardening, this show is also for you. Yeah. So it's for everybody.
Yeah, flowers for everybody.
Flowers for everyone. So when we come back, we're going to head over there and meet with Jen, the owner, and we're going to show you how to keep your flowers alive.
Welcome back to the girls. We're here at one of my favorite places. We're at Smith's Floral in West Hazleton, and we are with the owner, creator, and the most fabulous person that I know is Jen Barnasevitch.
What an intro,
yeah.
Right?
Ta-da! Now follow up with that.
Well, I don't know if I can. Thank you so much for coming to visit us today.
Well, we're always happy to come here. You could be in a gloomy, miserable mood and you come in here and it's like, oh, look at the pretty flowers.
Mm-hmm. Or herbs too.
Yes.
And we're taping while you're open, which is kind of cool because we haven't been on location in quite some time. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to be out. This was actually here, so we were just like, this is perfect. You could actually have a setting anywhere in here because it's beautiful with all the flowers.
Thank you.
It's so bright and cheerful. So let's get to it. Let's talk about annuals and perennials, and let's educate our audience on what they should do to keep their flowers alive.
Okay, so it's the growing season, which we have waited so long for. Yeah. And one of the big questions that customers ask us are the difference between an annual and a perennial. So a perennial comes back every year. An annual will not come back every year. So it's a little confusing the way.
Right.
So an annual will bloom throughout your whole summer. So think of geraniums, petunias, impatiens, all of those kinds of flowers are going to bloom all summer. A perennial will come back every year, but it's only going to bloom for you about 2 to 4 weeks throughout the summer.
Oh, wow.
So when you're planting your garden, it's nice to have a mixture of perennials, ones that are going to bloom at different times, you know, so you can have things that are going to bloom early, like think of peonies, and then, you know, as you move through the summer season, you want things that are going to bloom later, so you always have color. And then it's nice to accent with the annuals so that you always have something blooming the whole time.
Right, the whole summer. Mm-hmm. So what's the best way to take care of your flowers? Like how do you water them? When should you water them, and should you get a big spray hose?
And go like
should
this.
you get a sprinkling can?
No.
Should you have that automatic thing that goes back and forth and waters everything? What is the best way for the plant to to water it?
So the optimum time to water your plants is in the morning. However, whatever works for you, and your schedule. If you can only water at night, then at least you're watering. When you're watering, you want to make sure that you're watering the roots. You're soaking the roots. If you don't give them enough water, those roots are going to come up to the surface and that gives them more chance of burning. So you want to make sure that so you shouldn't be with the hose going like this. It's not the leaves that need the water, it's the roots that need the water. And also fertilizing is very important. We like to eat, so do your plants. So you want to fertilize them every 2 weeks throughout the growing season.
Wow, every 2 weeks?
Yes.
What do you fertilize them with?
Well, Miracle Grow, like a general plant food.
Okay, and you just follow the directions
Yes.
on the package.
Yep.
And when you're going to put the fertilizer on, you water that especially just down on the dirt.
Yes, yes, and there are different types of fertilizers. You can put fertilizer in your water. There's also a brand called Osmocote that it's a time release, so you sprinkle it when you're planting it, and then it will release over the next several weeks as well.
Now, what if it rains? Do you still water your flowers, or how do you test if they need to be watered?
Well, it depends on, now if you get a nice good soaking rain, that's great. But if we just get like a little spritz or a quick thunderstorm, if you dig down in your soil, you'll see it's dry pretty soon. It depends on your plant's needs. So if it's an impatient, they need water almost every day. It's also, if it's windy out, people don't think about that. When it's really windy out, that dries out your soil too. So geraniums like it dry. So they're really good if you're going to...
Tell me what you need, little one.
Yes, so this is a petunia, yes, and they like to be watered very often.
And they like to be talked to nicely.
Yes, and also deadheading is very important. Pruning promotes growth.
Pruning.
So when you have your, like a geranium, something like this,
Okay.
so you're just going to, just deadhead them like that.
And you leave that stalk in there.
You want to leave that little bit of stalk in there. If you break it off, that can lead to disease in your plant. So just let that little bit die off. And then as far as petunias,
So do you have to do the whole thing, or what if only half of it's dead? Can you just pick those
you
off?
could just, if you want to. And like a petunia, a lot of people see how that's like dying there. Don't do that.
Oh boy.
You want to cut that little stem off.
Oh, my poor flowers are going to be
Right?
dead.
So that helps it, to...
Why not do that?
Because you want to cut that off so the plant isn't putting any energy to that little stem.
What about roses?
Roses, you especially, like a knockout rose bush you don't have to prune them, but I like to deadhead them as much as possible.
Okay.
Yeah, I like when it's done and that little star thing is sitting there,
Yeah.
the base. I like to snap that sucker off. It makes them look prettier too.
And it promotes them to, if the bud stays on, the flower is going to be putting effort into that to make a seed, and you don't want it to. You want it to make an effort into making more blooms.
I'm sitting here and I'm smelling this beautiful
Mint.
lavender. Oh my gosh, this is so nice. Now, does this come back every year?
Lavender does come back every year.
I
So
like
some
it.
herbs come back every year, some do not.
Mint?
Mint does. Very good for a mojito. And now your mint can be very invasive, so you want to be careful where you plant it, or you can plant it in a large pot. But it may not winter that way. If it's in the ground, it'll winter over.
When do you start your herbs?
You can,
Whenever?
Yeah, you can plant them throughout the summer. The mint are very good insect repellents too. So if it does overtake your yard, just cut it down. It'll smell good. It kind of keeps the mosquitoes away.
That's a
plant
good
the mint
tip.
in the front.
How about if you just get the mint and put it all over it?
I mean, I don't think it'd be bad.
I love that. And the basil. So these all come back.
So the basil likes it very hot, likes it dry. So if you plant it early in May, it's not going to start to really take off until we get some warmer weather. And what you want with your basil is, a lot of people when they're taking it for their capre salad, they're picking the bigger leaves off the bottom. What is handy is if you pinch the top and use these leaves, then it's going to give you 2 more shoots, and it's not going to go to seed. You don't want the
So
basil
it's important
to
how
live.
you're picking off the herb.
Well, for basil, you don't want it to go to seed where it gets that little flower bloom on it.
Oh, you don't?
No, because you want it to be producing more and more of the leaves for
Just
yourself.
get thicker and thicker. So that's how you keep it alive. And how long will that stay? All summer?
Oh, the basil bloom, will grow all summer, and then when you know, until the frost.
Can I take that out of the ground and grow it in my house, or no?
You can. It doesn't do that great. I think in our weather, once we start not getting as much sunlight, it doesn't do as well. A lot of people put them on their windowsills. You know, you want to keep them as long as you can.
We have herbs, we have flowers, we have how to prune, how to take care, how to water. You also have so many other tips to give people about when they receive flowers, like in a vase. So how to keep those alive. There's a little packet that comes with your flowers.
Yes, and
What is that?
making sure that there's water. Flowers are thirsty. And so a lot of times, you know, you should be changing your water frequently, because one of the things that, like, why your roses start to droop is because there's bacteria in the water. So, or if you're buying flowers and bringing them home and putting them in a vase, you don't want to have any leaves or any of the foliage in the water, because that produces bacteria. And then when the bacteria goes up the stem, that is what's going to lessen the vase life.
And do you have to cut the bottoms, I think? I heard they have to cut them on an angle before
Cut them
you
on
put
an angle, yes, and make sure that your water, you know, if you have a vase of flowers, you know, just pick them up, switch the water out. That's the most important thing that
Now,
you can do.
does the water, could the water just be on the, it only needs to be on the stem, right? It doesn't have to be all the way up this, like the bottom of the stem, or how much water should you put in the vase?
I mean, I think I would fill the vase up as much as possible, so
Oh,
that
really?
because you know, something like a hydrangea, they're very thirsty. So you wouldn't believe how quick the water level goes down. But you don't want the leaves in the water.
And then the whole mix, all of it in the water? What does that do? Is that food?
It's food. It's a preservative, so it will kill any of the bacteria. But if you don't have the flower food, that's okay. Just changing your water frequently and recutting the stems extends the vase life of your flowers.
Okay, well, we're going to stop right here because we're going to take a quick break. Thanks to all of our sponsors who bring these shows to you. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the girls. We're having fun here with our favorite flower person. We have Jen Barnasevitch over here at Smith Floral, and we're learning about taking care of our plants. And one of the things that I always like to know is I might see a plant that I like, but I don't know where to put it in my house. Do I have enough light? Is it, you know, does it need enough heat, or what do we do about that?
So you definitely want to make sure, especially when you're buying flowers, well, for inside your house and out in your garden, whether it's an annual or a perennial, that you're buying it you're placing it for the proper light conditions. So like all your vegetables, tomatoes, peppers, all of those things, they're going to need full sun. So, you know, full days of sun to really take off. If they're getting shade, your flowers you're not going to be producing the fruit. A lot of the annuals, geraniums, petunias, they really require full sun as well. And then there's other types of annuals, and it should say on the tag, so you want to try to really be educated about that. You know, part sun, full shade, that's really going to affect how your plants thrive throughout the months. And you have to think of it too as those plants are an investment. If you're buying them in May, you know, you'll probably have them to October if you're taking good care of them.
Wow.
So it's something that's,
Well,
yes,
ferns are easy, right?
ferns are easy.
I would know.
You
I'm
like
a fern person. Well, mine last through almost November.
Yes, yeah,
I mean,
especially if
I
you don't
kept
get a
those
heavy
suckers
frost.
alive. Stuck some Halloween stuff in there and called it a day.
Now, Jen, I see a lot of people have gardens that have a mix of flowers in, and you'll see butterflies and bees and whatever. Do those plants, are they specifically to attract that? And I'm sure that's good for the environment.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, pollinating gardens are very popular right now, and it's just good for the environment. And with the butterflies, you want to make sure that you're having like a host plant. So rue or milkweed are really good host plants for the caterpillars. So they're, when you're doing a pollinator garden, you want something that's going to host the larvae and then the butterflies as well. So bright colors, reds, hot pinks are really good for hummingbirds. Everybody loves seeing a hummingbird.
Yes.
They're so
What
fun.
about the bees?
And the bees, I mean, just really anything. And then you also really want to watch what you're going to be using then if you do have an insect problem and you need to use insecticide.
Oh.
Because you want something that's organic. Because sometimes if you're going to be purchasing, some type of insecticide, we don't want to hurt the bees.
Yeah, and you don't want to put insecticides on the herbs you're going to eat.
No. So you would only want to be using those kinds of things on your blooming flowers, not anything that you would be,
No, we should also talk nice to our flowers, and right? They don't like stress.
No, they don't. They
don't
like
stress.
music.
They like nice music.
Yes.
And talking nice to them. Mm-hmm. Look how pretty you look. Your hair is beautiful.
Yes.
And that actually can help them grow as well.
I think so.
We think so. If Jen says so. Then.
When I walk in the greenhouse in the morning, I'm just like, good morning, everyone. We're going to find you beautiful homes.
Aww.
Yes, and they're all so happy and pretty. I mean, how can you not? I love my office.
They just perk up.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
You have one of the nicest offices we've ever seen with all these flowers.
I know. I mean, I think so.
Now, go ahead.
I was just going to say that you know so much about all these plants. It's not just like say you go to a grocery store and you're picking up a flower. You don't know how long it's been there. Mm-hmm. You don't know how to take care of it. You don't know if it's right for you. So I always suggest coming to a greenhouse like you have here, where you're growing your flowers, you're educated about them, and you could teach me what to do, because like you said, you're going to have it you're making an investment.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. I mean, our grower, we begin in December taking the clippings for our geraniums so they're kind of like our little babies. We get a lot of our little clippings, plugs that come in are being shipped right after Valentine's Day. So the week after Valentine's Day, we're getting all of our, our greenhouses starting to fill up. So it's really exciting. And then when you see everything growing week by week, it's very...
That's cool. Gratifying.
It is, and refreshing.
Yeah, and that's why they call it a nursery, because there are all the little newborns in there.
Aw,
too.
babies.
They are.
I know we're talking about like summer and spring flowers, but we also have mums and those kind of flowers. So I have questions about mums. If you plant them in the ground, do they come back? Or how does that work? Do mums come back?
Some do. The typical garden mums that we get, that people decorate outside their houses, do not typically come back in our zone. Okay. We're just a little too far north. Now there are some varieties that you can get that will come back for our area, and sometimes too they will if they're planted in a protected spot in your garden.
What time of year do you plant them?
For
the mums. When do you plant mums?
Like in your garden?
Yeah.
I mean, you could plant them, they're going to be green all summer, and then they'll bloom,
so you can plant them in the summer?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Well, I have a lucky mum plant because it was a deep purple, similar to the flower in the front there. And the flower is a little bit smaller than a lot of the mums, but it comes back every single year, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and I'm just thrilled with that. So that's why I thought, well, any mums we get, we plant in, and then I was disappointed. So what kind of mum would that be?
It is a perennial mum that can withstand our winters. Because I have a purple one that was my grandmother's that comes back every year.
So I need to talk to the mums before I buy them and say which one's going to come back.
Mum's the word.
Actually, our mums for sale came in June. So they're planted all in our mum field now. So we're always thinking of like the next season. So
And then how about for inside plants for the winter? You mentioned fall. How about going into winter? What can we put in our house that's going to be?
To not make us sad.
Yeah.
it is nice, and definitely I feel like since COVID, a lot of people are into making their house more of a green space for
Yes.
them. So philodendrons, scheffleras,
How about African
Swedish ivy,
violets?
African violets are great.
Wreaths with flowers on them. You do all of these nice, beautiful
Artificial flowers.
Artificial flowers.
Yes, that permanent, that will be there for you, and we do them up. We can make them up to order, or however you'd like.
And even with if someone, we mentioned at the beginning of the show, if someone has a special event coming up and they want an idea, you're very creative of coming up with what kind of arrangements they want. You just need to know specifically what colors or...
Well, color, the theme, the kind of vibe that you want
Yeah.
to have. We do all kinds of events, of course, like weddings and showers, but then other kinds of celebrations. And we often say here, we deal with every aspect of life.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really think about it, from births, to deaths, and everything in between. So it is, and while some events are joyous, some are sad, but it's awesome to be in this kind of environment and be able to help people and celebrate and mourn with them through everything.
Yeah, we should mention too how active you are in the community. You always have something cool going on. What are some of the things that you've done? Something with Bloom and...
Pedal It Forward.
You did that.
We do that in the fall. That's a nationwide campaign where we actually have, I'm a Girl Scout leader in Beaver Meadows, so we have our Girl Scouts come out and they wrap, we do about 250 flower bouquets, little wrap flower bouquets, and then we give them out randomly. And sometimes we'll go to doctor's offices, or we just stand down in Broad Street and just walk up to people and give them bouquets. And
That's
it's so much
awesome.
fun. It's so much fun.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's as rewarding for you as it is for the
Oh,
person
absolutely,
receiving, just to see their
absolutely.
face, because everybody
Yes.
loves to receive flowers. Speaking of
All right,
which,
little ones.
it's time for us to go and order some flowers.
Yeah. And that's our show. Hope you can stop by again, the 125th anniversary here at Smith's and our 10th anniversary of the girls. We will see you next time.